Hello everyone, welcome back for another daily market update. I do apologise for the infrequency of these updates. Usually these drop every single day around 1 PM UK time. And of course, we have been away, as you can see, and really taking advantage of the lackluster price action in the cryptocurrency markets. But hopefully, in this daily market update, I can ignite that fire within your belly once more. I think people are very fatigued. It can kind of become like counselling when the markets are like this in regards to retail. And I think really the reason for that is because people lose sight of the bigger picture and get so focused on the day-to-day price action and forget that a transformation like the one that we're undergoing and what this technology is going to enable takes time, just like what we saw with the internet. There are, of course, comparables there in regards to how the internet changed finance, societies, the world as a whole, and of course what distributed ledgers are going to do. And we're going to listen to what Paul Atkins, who's the new chair of the SEC, it's a 180 from Gary Gensler, has to say on that, specifically in regards to the kind of innovation that DLT brings. And there's a number of legislations that are going through the House right now. The Genius Act, of course, is well and truly on its way. It's passed now, essentially, but there's more of a broad kind of Clarity Act going through to give a broader framework on all of this. And that's really going to open the floodgates, and it's important to remember that. So we are going to be talking about that, of course. We're also going to be talking about this industry as an asset class, because we have an update from Bloomberg's analysts in regards to the probabilities of more broadly altcoin ETFs. You know, XRP is now at 95%. The majority of others like HBAR are at 90%. You know, this is something we are going to see. And I think ironically, institutions are very excited, and we speak to many of them. Institutions are very excited about this technology. Right now, retail, I think, is somewhat fed up. And really, these daily market updates are all about making sure people don't miss out on what I believe is a truly amazing and potentially life-changing opportunity. Certainly, investing in the cryptocurrency space from my own personal standpoint has changed my life. I believe it can still do the same thing for you guys. And actually, we continue to say this, and I think it somewhat annoys people, but there's never been a better time to be interested in crypto than right here, right now. Despite that, the markets are somewhat lackluster. And with me saying that, people say, okay, well, why doesn't the price correlate? That's just simply not how things work. Amazon, for example, which essentially created one of the richest men in the world, just like what we've seen with XRP. In fact, the patterns were the same that kind of led to the monstrous run it's been on really since coming out of that 7-year drought after the dot-com boom. But we know June is typically a very lackluster month. It's one of the worst months, obviously barring September, for the cryptocurrency space. We're kind of living through that once again. Summertime, you know, think about behind markets are humans broadly, although that is changing day by day. People go on holiday, like where I am right now. Institutions, fund managers, so on and so forth are the same. So markets do go a little bit lackluster, but I think this is all running us into what's going to be a very explosive end to this year. And I still think your bull market is going to be in full swing. One thing that I was looking at was sort of new address momentum during the kind of price action that we've seen for Bitcoin really since 41k. So from 41k all the way up to, what is it today, 100 and something. And we will check that. We will be doing a little bit of TA on Bitcoin. 103k. This has taken place on the back end of a drop in retail wallet addresses. So who's behind this? It's institutional. Institutions are front-running retail as we speak, and I believe they're doing the same thing with altcoins ready for ETF approvals. And this is just in. This is from James Seyfarth. New. This is from Eric Balanchunas and I, raising our odds for the vast majority of spot crypto ETF filings to 90% or higher. Engagement from the SEC is a very positive sign in our opinion. And you can see here the basket indexes, so Grayscale, Bitwise, and Hashdex and Franklin, all have a 95% probability of approval. One reason or one sort of, or multiple charts that we've been looking at to give us a broader clarity on the direction of this space is the sort of basket ETPs that are already offered throughout Europe, and obviously Grayscale Digital Large Cap Fund within the United States, which we think are going significantly higher. If these are going to go higher, the altcoins that are within them are likely going to do the same thing. And of course, we've been very technically right on Grayscale Digital Large Cap Fund, just like we were with their GE fund and their GBTC fund before the ETF approvals. And we think, you know, the Grayscale Digital Large Cap Fund, along with Bitwise Top 10 Crypto Index Fund and 21 Shares' Crypto Basket ETP product, where we have these going is a damn good reason, compounded with all the other evidence technically that we have for where this space is heading to be bullish on the industry. So don't lose sight in that. These things take time. The plan really hasn't changed as far as I'm concerned. The only thing that really changes is sort of retail sentiment towards the industry on a day-to-day basis. And I think what's happening and going to happen with the offerings of ETFs or the approvals of this is it's going to cement the cryptocurrency space as an asset, if you will, that will find its way into people's portfolios. And I would suggest, and this is contrary to retail sentiment right now, that you want to be positioned for that before it takes place. And the ETF approvals are a major part of that. Not to mention, we don't even have regulatory clarity to or for DLT to actually be implemented in day-to-day life. That's coming, and we're going to dive over to Paul Atkins and what he had to say on Fox in just a second. So the digital assets sort of indexes, there's a 95% approval odds, according to James Seyfarth and Eric Ballantynes, that have been remarkably right this far of that approval within 2025. Then, of course, you have Litecoin. It's one of the kind of OGs. Some may ask why Litecoin. Well, some people, certainly older investors, would rather sort of safety. I don't personally own any Litecoin, but I think there's a tide that's going to rise all ships. Then we have Solana, 95% odds, XRP, 95% odds, Dogecoin, 90% odds, Cardano, 90% odds, Polkadot, 90% odds, HBAR, 90% odds, and of course Avalanche, Sui, Tron, the newer ones that have been far more recently. Of course, a little bit lower down. But I think this is huge. And again, I think what people need to understand is, in my opinion, you want to be positioned before this takes place, because what this does is kind of cement digital assets as an asset class, just like we've seen with Bitcoin and the success of it. And again, I think the price momentum that we've seen with Bitcoin, and this is really where ETFs kicked off, by the way, has broadly been institutional, not retail. So institutions are buying and taking advantage of what's to come, and retail, due to day-to-day price action and fatigue, which I understand, guys, I've been there, isn't quite seeing the opportunity that I'm sort of certainly putting forward here right now with you guys, because I don't want anybody to miss it. In regards to the timing of this in relation to it taking place, 95% odds in 2025, the timing of these approval launches is more uncertain. Could be something we're talking about in the next month, so as soon as the next month or two, or could be something that waits until October or later. A matter of when, not if, and this is for Bloomberg's clients, and of course was done by James Seyfarth and Eric Ballantynes, who is another sensational or great guy to follow. I think, interestingly as well, one thing Eric's been doing that I've certainly been watching is looking at kind of more broader ETF flows as it relates to traditional assets. We did say that we thought the stock market was going to recover the Trump sort of crash on the back end of tariffs. It's very close to doing so. It's obviously run into a bit of resistance here. Lackluster time of year. The markets don't need an excuse to sell off right now, or are just looking for one to sell off and go with the path of least resistance. But I'll do some more sort of broader TA towards the end once we've got what we need to covered. What I want to do now, guys, is actually dive over to Paul Atkins' appearance on Fox and listen to what he had to say more broadly about this technology from a usage and utility standpoint. I truly believe that DLTs are on the same trajectory as the internet was. Okay? In fact, they're being adopted at a faster rate. We can show you evidence on that. There's a long way for that to go, and actually they're going to enable the internet of value, and the opportunity is right here, right now, if I'm right on this. And from a technological standpoint, we've not even really started that journey yet. The Stablecoin Act, the Genius Act, was a big part of the evolution of money which happens on chain. The Clarity Act, which is currently trying to get passed, is more about broader usage utility and further out than stablecoins, more broadly the asset sector as a whole. What's coming is nothing short of an insane opportunity. And let's listen to what Paul Atkins had to say on the 20th of June, which was yesterday, on this matter specifically.
I mean, you made a comment recently about helping lots of industries in terms of the blockchain. People don't understand the impact, but it is broad. And we talked before this interview about, for example, the auto industry in terms of how to create growth and make things move better, more progress with regard to the blockchain. Can you walk us through how things can get better in that regard?
Oh, great question. So this is more than just cryptocurrencies. The innovation and the potential use cases of the blockchain and distributed ledger technology, I think, is really great. So, for example, for car titles and other evidence of ownership, to put it on a transparent type of platform, such as a blockchain, can save a lot of money and make things much more efficient and less costly for governments, for ultimately for taxpayers and consumers alike. So those sorts of things. Bernie Moreno, who's a great senator from Ohio, in fact, did that before he was a senator, for example. So there's so many ways, I think, that if we can bring clarity to this area so that lawyers can advise their clients as to what is proper to do and not, and what they have to do. Things have been so unclear, and like Chairman Hill was just saying, that in the past the SEC has invited people to come in, but there are a lot of stories that as people came in to talk to the SEC, they either got no answers, or even worse, by the time they got home, they might have had a subpoena in their post office mailbox or on the doorstep to respond, in an enforcement context. So those sorts of things, we're already changing them, and our goal is to have good rules of the road, good guide rails, so that people know what they can do to go forward. I think we have the authority to do that. I'm hoping that these two bills, the Clarity Act and the Genius Act, will make it through Congress and to the president's desk, and that he'll sign them. But in the meantime, we will go forth and help to bring clarity to these markets.
I truly can't even verbally communicate just how bullish you should be on crypto right now in regards to what it's going to do. Every government, every business, every person is going to use and utilize this technology. And that's the future. And meanwhile, people are complaining about a little bit of lackluster price action because they can't see the bigger picture and vision. That's why this channel exists. We want to keep everybody on that train and that sort of broader view of things at the sort of forefront of their mind. Technically, it really isn't a bad picture either. Bitcoin has done insanely well and is going to continue to do so, in my opinion. We showed you the ETP products just a second ago. People complaining about the price action of sort of Hedera right now. I mean, this was a run that I took part in. It's pulled back. It will continue, in my opinion. More broadly, the space as a whole is in good standing. If we take the draws off that we have on the total market cap, certainly the total two as it relates to the altcoin sector, everything excluding Bitcoin, which altcoin is really the right word for them in opposition with Bitcoin. This is just pull back in around all-time highs. It's progressing. I think it's going to entirely engulf this pullback and go on to higher ground. Certainly we've got technical target for that. You want to be positioned now for it, not when it gets there, having missed the opportunity. Once this technology is adopted, it's too late because everybody knows about it and the opportunity is gone. The opportunity is here and now. Up to you guys whether you want to take it. That's it from me. I'm going to love and leave you all. Next week we'll be back to normal. See you all then.